Good morning, everyone. I see everyone popping on in here. Get everyone situated. Let me introduce our guest speaker today, Haley Ingram. Haley, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I'm excited to be here.
Thanks so much for coming on and doing this. For as everybody coming pops on in here, just giving a quick bio. Haley, you're the founder of Coffee and Contracts, right? She's
Yeah.
a real estate marketing expert, and going to come on today and show us, how to turn followers into clients and maybe some other strategies here on lead generation and all that great stuff we're always looking for. So, before we turn it over to Haley here, just to let everybody know, we'll wait. If you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Got Alicia here monitoring that, and we'll take the questions at the end. So put it in the chat. Otherwise, if you want to come off mute at the end, and that's fine as well. So however you want to do it. If you have any questions, though, don't hesitate to put it in that chat. So having said all that, Haley, if you're ready, I'll turn it over to you. And thanks again for
Yeah.
being here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen
Sure.
so that I can get that tech stuff out of the way.
It's always the moment of right peril. You never know.
Yeah. You
Test it a
never
hundred
know.
times, it works, and then it's live, and all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
But it looks good. We
Okay.
see it. Great.
Okay, perfect. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm super excited to be here. My name is Haley Ingram. I'm the founder of Coffee and Contracts. We are a real estate marketing platform. We've been helping agents since 2019 grow your Instagram and generate leads on Instagram and beyond. I actually started as a real estate agent who is just obsessed with marketing, obsessed with all things Instagram and design. So I started Coffee and Contracts in 2019 and have been doing it ever since. So today I'm super excited to talk to you guys about turning followers into clients and Instagram strategies that actually generate leads. So I'm going to throw a lot of stuff at you today, a lot of my favorite strategies, a lot of my favorite tips. And then at the end, we'll get into some Q&A so that I can pick up anywhere that I lost you along the way. So we're just going to go ahead and jump right into it. One of my favorite things about using Instagram as a real estate agent is that your Instagram profile is a searchable asset. So when people are searching for a real estate agent on Instagram or they're searching for your city on Instagram, you're going to want to make sure that your Instagram profile comes up. Another really cool thing is that Google actually now is pulling Instagram in their search results. So as you can see here, I search for Nashville Realtor and we have some agents' Instagram pages coming up in the first page of the Google search results. So it's super important to make sure that your Instagram is, first of all, optimized to show up in these searches, and it's optimized to convert people into followers and into leads in the long run. So I'm going to walk you through how to do that. The first step is with your display name on Instagram. So this is just where you type in your full name, not your handle, like your username, but where your name is. So always make sure to include the keywords of your city, where you sell, and realtor or real estate, because you want to make sure that you come up for your city and if someone's searching for your city realtor. And this is one aspect of your Instagram profile that is searchable. So that's why you want to make sure that you have it in your display name. So I recommend, if you don't already, having your name and then city name, state, realtor in your display name. Now, your username or your handle, this is Marie. She's one of our content creators and coaches at Coffee and Contracts. Her handle is Move Me to Tennessee. Your handle is really great for your branding, for professionalism, and to be memorable. And it's also searchable as well. So she has Tennessee in hers, but I just recommend keeping it clean and professional, making it easy to remember, and avoiding having like numbers or a bunch of underscores and things like that. Underscores aren't a huge deal, but when possible, it's nice to have just a really clean username without any additional, with just letters. Now, your bio, this is going to be people's first impression of you when they land on your Instagram. So, when someone visits your Instagram for the first time, you want to really quickly and clearly tell them exactly who you help and what you're posting about on Instagram, because then they're more likely to follow you, then they understand who you help and what you do. And Instagram and Google also pull some keywords from your bio as well. So you want to make sure that you include your city name and any keywords like real estate, relocation, or any terms that you specialize in that you want to come up for in your bio. So I recommend including here who you help, what you post about, where you sell, and a call to action to a lead magnet. And we'll get into that in a second. But here are some examples if you want to snap a picture. And I'll also share this presentation with you guys as well after so that you can refer back to this in case I go fast or you want to refer back to something. So this is a template that you can use, which I'll share with you guys, but helping audience in city or region. So like helping relocators or helping you relocate to Tampa or wherever it is. Keywords about what you post. So like something like I'm sharing all the best things to do in city name, all the best things to do in listings in city name, and then a call to action of what to do next. Now, the call to action should always be pointing down at the link in your bio. And rather than just having a basic website here, what I recommend having here is some sort of landing page where you can collect emails from your audience in exchange for a free resource. So these are things like Marie has a home buying guide that people can enter in their information to receive the home buying guide. She has a Nashville suburb guide for her relocator clients. And then she also has a consultation link that she has through Calendly to schedule a call with her. So I highly recommend having these really clear, actionable links rather than just having your website link. So you can use a tool like Instagram has the ability to add multiple links. So you can add a link to something, a landing page from a tool like Flowdesk, StanStore, or you can use Linktree, which Marie used a tool here called links.co. But there's a ton of tools that you can use. These are just a few of them. Now, when we look at your feed, when we get down to what you're actually posting in your feed, it's really important to make it super clear for when your ideal client lands on your page. They want to know exactly what they're getting into if they hit follow and subscribe for more. So you want to have clear cover photos. We want to see your face so that we know you're a real person and a real agent because we want to be able to make that connection with you. We want to have consistent topics that you're talking about. Marie is constantly sharing listings and all things Nashville relocation. And I like to see faces and places is what I call it. So I want to see faces, I want to see you, and I want to see listings in local areas rather than just a bunch of graphics. I want to actually see some content that you are creating in your area. So that was just a quick little Instagram audit for you guys. Like I said, I'll share this link with you so that you can view this later. But what I'm going to get into now is really more of the meat and potatoes of the Instagram content itself. So I wanted to share the three biggest mistakes that we see agents make on Instagram and how to fix it. So the number one issue that I see agents making on Instagram is random posting. So a lot of times I'll see just a bunch of random graphics. I'll see agents throwing out every type of content. And what that causes is the audience and the algorithm do not know what type of content to expect. So they don't know who to show it to. Another thing too is, like I said, when someone visits your page for the first time, they're looking at your feed to see if it's worth following and signing up for. So it should be a really clear, consistent message of what you're posting about. So one thing that you can do is ask yourself, can your audience fill in the blank? I follow agent for blank. So what do you want your content to be known for? You want your audience to be able to fill in that blank of why they want to follow you. Problem number two that we see is, so the first 3 seconds of your reel is for capture first 3 seconds. So if you go to your reel and click view insights, you'll be able to see if you're holding people's attention or how long you typically hold people's attention for the first 3 seconds. And you can see like how your reel stacks up compared to your like average rate. So it just shows how Instagram is super focused on the first 3 seconds because that's really what grabs people's attention and keeps them on your posts. Problem number three is you want to jump on all the funnest or funniest trends, even if they aren't strategically speaking to your ideal client. So I used a picture of, I think this is Kevin the Golden, if anyone's familiar. And while we all love trends, if you're posting videos of your golden retriever, it's super cute, but now people may land on your page thinking that you are a golden retriever account. And you're not, you're a real estate agent. So while this may go viral and get a ton of views, prioritize relevance over going viral. So using trends is super fun, but just make sure that you tweak it for your ideal client and your area. Problem number four is copy and paste templates, which is kind of ironic coming from a template, someone who provides real estate agents with templates. But using templates without personalizing them can feel inauthentic. And templates should always be customized for your area and ideal client. So this is just an example of one of the templates that we give members and all the different ways that you can tweak it for your area. It should be a starting point. It shouldn't be the full post. I know I said three problems, but there's actually five. And problem number five is you are in a small market. So I think this is something that isn't talked about a lot, but I see a lot of agents comparing themselves to agents who are in a huge, super popular market, like Nashville, for example, has a population of 2 million. It's super hot spot. People are relocating there. And it goes viral just on its own. But a smaller town, I used Cartersville, Georgia, because we have some members there as an example. It's if you're in an area where it's just not as hot of a market right now, and there's not a big audience pool, then your engagement is naturally going to be smaller than an agent in a bigger market. So remember to focus on what matters, not going viral or getting thousands of views, but reaching the right audience and building those local connections. So now let's get into fixing it. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go over choosing your core content pillars. We're going to learn how to stop the scroll in 3 seconds, and we're going to learn how to tailor your content for your ideal client. So first, let's go through choosing your content pillars. So again, when someone lands on your page, could they confidently say, "Oh, I follow Tyler for the listings that he shares. I follow Miranda for the local content that she shares. She's always sharing the best things to do in our area." So I want you guys to pull up your Instagram feed on your phone and just imagine that you are a random person who has never met you in your city. When you look at your feed, can you confidently say that every post that you are sharing is consistent in terms of who it's speaking to and what type of value you're providing? Are the topics consistently relevant to one person in your area? So this is just the most common mistake that I see is posting just to post, so your content ends up all over the place. So these are some examples from Coffee and Contracts members. This is Alyssa Kernut. She's in Spokane, and she shares these really great local reels on the best things to do in Spokane. So someone would confidently say, "Oh yeah, I follow Alyssa for all of the reels that she shares with the best things to do in Spokane." KK, she shares things to do in listings in Nashville consistently. So that is why people follow her. She has the coolest listing videos and is always talking about the best things to do in Nashville. Rachel is specialized in relocation, and her feed is consistently relocation information for people who are relocating to North Idaho. So what's really important here too is that each of these feeds look completely different. It's a great reminder that there's really a no one size fits all strategy. All of these agents are generating leads from Instagram, but there's all sorts of different approaches. What really matters is that each of these feeds that is super clear, they're consistent, and it's relevant to their ideal client. So just some more examples. This is Grace. She shares consistent listing features in St. Pete. So clearly people would want to subscribe and follow this page to see the hottest new listings in St. Pete. You don't see a bunch of educational random graphics that are irrelevant to the majority of people. People just want to look at pretty houses and they want to see the best things to do in their area. They don't want to see a testimonial graphic or a market update graphic. All the content here is hyper local and consistently relevant to their ideal client. This is Paige in Utah. She shares these really cool high production listing videos. So I think that's why a lot of people follow her. And then this is Marianne in Baltimore, and she's consistently sharing what her family is up to in Baltimore, the best things to do for families. And that's her ideal client is people upsizing families in Baltimore. So the through line here is just that they are all consistent. They're all sharing local content, and you're not going to see a bunch of graphics that are irrelevant to the majority of people. So each of these accounts picked 2 to 3 main content pillars and just doubled down on it. They have consistent content themes and their style is consistent. You don't see a bunch of different fonts here. We know what to expect, and their feed feels very cohesive and consistent. Like I said, there's not a ton of random graphics and there's not a bunch of random personal photos with no context. When they're sharing their personal life, they're also providing value. Like Rachel or Marianne is a great example of that. She's sharing what her family is doing, but she's saying, like, check out this local restaurant that we went to. She's giving you more context and information that's relevant to locals in her area. And each piece of content here can stand alone. So, what I mean by that is that when people are scrolling on Instagram and your reel pops up, you have to remember that a lot of the time we have no context into who you are, where you sell, the fact that you're a real estate agent, anything. So, each of these posts gives all of the context that the viewer needs immediately in the post. So these are some ideas for content pillars that you can choose. These are things like listing and neighborhood features and guides. So, like those listing reel features or featuring listings like in a carousel post, neighborhood features and guides. So showcasing the best neighborhoods in your area or sharing like a neighborhood guide types of carousels. Authority and connection builders. So these are things like market insights, client stories, hot takes, behind the scenes in your story. Relocation content. So if you're focused on relocation, this is really great on Instagram right now because people love daydreaming. They love imagining themselves in a different area. So this is a great content pillar if you are focused on relocators. And then local and lifestyle. So things like featuring local businesses, talking about local coming up, seasonal guides, and lifestyle content. So I recommend choosing 2 to 3 of these to focus on and consistently posting in these content buckets. And I know a question that I get a lot is what about personal content? We always hear about like your content should be 20% personal, 80% business. And my take on this is that you shouldn't just post random vacation photos of your dogs and just say, okay, great, I did personal content, done. You should really infuse your life and personality into your content that is also relevant and interesting to your ideal client. Like I mentioned earlier with Marianne. As real estate agents, this is a business account. We're not an influencer account. So we can't just do a photo dump of selfies and expect that to help us grow our real estate business. Your content, like I mentioned, should be able to stand alone. So it should tell a story. It should hook viewers in because we don't know you yet. So we need more context to get to know you and your story. This is an example from Jimmy Conover. He specializes in relocation, but like I was saying, he shares a lot of content of what his family's doing. But as you can see, we get to know him through this content that's relevant to anyone in the Idaho area, visiting the Idaho area, or thinking about relocating to it. So now let's get into the content itself. Let's talk about creating content that stops the scroll. And the thing that I really want to focus on is Reels. Of course, a huge hot topic on Instagram right now. Reels have quickly become super critical to your Instagram strategy as Instagram focuses on competing with TikTok and keeping our attention. So this is Adam Mosseri. He is the head of Instagram. And if you guys don't follow his Instagram account, I highly recommend it. He is just constantly sharing the best strategies for growing on Instagram, and it's direct from the source. He's telling us exactly how the Instagram algorithm works. So I like to listen to what he says and not listen to all of the guru noise on Instagram. So like I mentioned, they're constantly talking about the first 3 seconds of a reel. They are critical for keeping people's attention. And the longer you keep someone on your post, the more likely it is to continue to get views and continue to get pushed out to people because it shows Instagram, okay, people liked this. We're going to keep pushing it out to more people. Um, so, oops. So I have this checklist for your reels, and specifically, a lot of this is like listing reels or your local reels that you're sharing. So this is what we like to call a B-roll reel, where you can record this with your phone. If when you go into a listing, if you ask an agent if you can preview their listing and if you can post it on Instagram, or if it's your listing, you can just go in with your phone and record these clips and create a reel that can do incredibly well. So this one, for example, they created this with their phone. It got 500,000 views, 4,700 comments, and 8,000 people shared this video. So just with their phone, they didn't pay for this or anything. It was completely free. And they probably made this in like 15 minutes when they were editing it. So it's super cool what we can do with reels. So I'm going to walk you guys through getting the best results on with your Instagram reels. So let's break down the hook checklist. So we have our text hook. Sorry, I have to keep going back so that it replays. We have our text hook, which is the text overlay on the reel at the very beginning. You should always have a text hook because this is a part of what grabs people's attention and gives them context into where this listing is, what's so great about this listing in the first 3 seconds. So that's the first thing we see is that text hook. Then we have the visual hook. So these are the videos behind that text. And it's super important that your video is scroll stopping enough to grab people's attention in those first 3 seconds. Then we have our auditory hook. So this is just the music that you choose or the voiceover that you do that is another way of grabbing people's attention. And then we have the caption hook as well. So I think this is something that's often overlooked that there you can see the beginning of the caption when you're scrolling on Reels as well. So this is another opportunity to stop people and get their attention and keep them on the post. So let's talk about a scroll stopping text hook. So this example, it's a little bit blurry in the font. The text is a little bit small. This is a local reel that Savannah did. She's in Franklin outside of Nashville. It says, I need to be 30 minutes to Nashville, but want my drive home to look like this. So this is a super simple text hook that really allows you to envision yourself living in Franklin. And she's really speaking to the desires that people that move to Franklin are looking for. They want to live 30 minutes outside of Nashville. They don't want the big city life. They want to live in that rural area. So a scroll stopping text hook should be able to stand alone. So someone should see this and immediately have all the context that they need. It shouldn't just say open house or just sold, because that gives us no context. We don't even know where you are yet. We don't know that you're a real estate agent and we just don't have the information. It tells us where it is. So she used the term Nashville. Now, this is not only important for giving people context into obviously, like, is this relevant to me? Where is this? But also, like I mentioned in the beginning, Instagram posts are now showing up on Google. So it's super important that you're using your city name so that you show up on those local search results. This is relevant to everyone. So even if they're not buying or selling right now, this content is still interesting. People still love to envision themselves living somewhere like this. If it was a post that was like 3 steps to buying your first house, that narrows down your audience like 90 to 99%, because not a lot of people are in the market to buy a house right now, but they may be in 2 to 3 years. So it's super important to make the content relevant to the majority of people who are going to land on this post, because what happens is if your post is 3 tips for buying your first house, then everyone swipes past it because it's not relevant. So the algorithm doesn't show it to those people who actually are interested in buying a house. It just gets 200 views and nobody ever sees it. But when you're posting local relocation or listing content, this content is more relevant and engaging to the majority of people, even people that don't live here. So now the algorithm is going to continue to push it out to the right people. The hook is easy to read and short, that we don't have to like strain our eyes reading it, or there's not a bunch of fluff or jargon. It's direct, it gets to the point fast. it sparks curiosity or recognition. So it makes people think like, ooh, this is for me. And it grabs their attention and it pairs well with the visual. So now with the visuals, so always show the thing right away, especially if you're talking about the thing in your hook. So this is an example by Catherine again in Nashville. But her hook says POV, you buy the most charming Tudor house on the market in Nashville, Tennessee. And the first clips are of the exterior of the home. So we immediately are like, yes, this is a Tudor home. It just makes sense. A lot of times I'll see agents post something like the backyard of this home, and we don't even get to see the backyard until the very end of the video. So, whatever the thing is about the house that you're focused on, show that immediately and show us the wow factor right away. I've also seen agents post listing videos where at the end of the video, we see this gorgeous sunset shot from the kitchen. And I'm like, why did we not lead with that? That would have stopped everyone in their tracks. So think about just showing the most wow factor immediately in your reel so that it grabs people's attention. Another way to grab attention is to use movement. So if it's a video of you talking to the camera, you can do things like sitting down in your chair as you start talking. You can do things like stirring your coffee as you're talking to the camera, or some sort of visual rather than just sitting there and staring and looking at the camera, doing some sort of visual that's grabbing people's attention. And when you're doing the B-roll videos like this, where it's just a bunch of video clips, a way that you can do that is with 1 second or less clips in the very beginning, because it naturally keeps us watching and engaged to see what's next. Things are changing and we're just constantly watching it because it's more interesting. So I'll start her reel over, but notice how short the clips are in the very beginning. We got like half a second, half a second, half a second, but it really keeps you engaged. And also stay clean, aesthetic, and simple. There's no busy backgrounds. It's just a simple white text. There's great natural lighting. There's clear and high quality visuals. And your visual should answer, what am I looking at? Where is this? And why should I care in 3 seconds or less? Now, let's talk about when the house isn't necessarily scroll stopping, because that plays a huge part as well. When you're featuring a listing, a lot of the ones that go viral or do really well are either a unique opportunity, like it's something that's not on the market often. It's a beautiful home. So naturally, people love that. They want to watch it. But what do we do when the house isn't really necessarily scroll stopping? So if you're the listing agent, you can get creative with your hook. You can do a walkthrough tour and do something funny to stop the scroll. So I'll see if I can play this with audio, but this is a great example of stopping the scroll and getting you to watch the entire video all the way through. And I will say, I don't remember where this is. It's not where I live. It's not, I watched the video all the way through, but I don't even live there. So let's watch it.
Wait. How am I starting this video again? No. Not in a million years. Never, ever, ever. I will not do that.
So she's saying, like, I'm not going to do the Macarena, but then it's kind of like leading us to the end. Like, is she going to do it? So I watched the video all the way through to see if she was going to do the Macarena. I don't know why. Also, I'm not a big Macarena lover. But the comments I thought were funny as well. They said, haha, I kept waiting to see if you were going to pop out shaking it. I waited. I need to see this happen. So these are just ideas that you can get inspired by things like this on Instagram, especially in other industries, that for hooks to grab attention in your listing reels. Now, this one is like a production company. So a lot of times the production company will help you come up with those as well. And I recommend this for when it's your listing, because I think you shouldn't hire a production company if you're featuring someone else's listing. And this is another example of when the house isn't necessarily scroll stopping, another way of getting creative. And this one is like a fixer-upper home. Honestly, the house is pretty cool as well. But when it's like a home that's like a fixer-upper or something like that, I think this is a really great hook that you can use. I'll play it, but you can read it as well. I think she's.
Would you take on this Highland Park ISD fixer-upper under 600,000? Let me know in the comments.
So it's a pretty pretty cool house, but I think the hook is really clever because it's asking a question that's making you think. So your brain immediately goes, would I take on this fixer upper? And you watch the video to see. And then it's also going to get people to comment and give their take on if they would or not as well. This one, I'm sure you guys have all seen her. She went absolutely viral. And her videos are so funny. We have to watch it just out of respect for the creativity. If you guys haven't seen it.
My new listing, and this is where I'd hide if I were playing hide and seek and owned this home. Follow me. This is the living room. I bet you can't find me. I think you should look under the couch.
Oh, it stopped. But she plays hide and seek in her listings. If you haven't seen it, it's hilarious. But remember, the goal is really just to get more eyes on your client's home. It's so cool. She has 900,000 likes on this video and millions of views. So that is a great tool that she can take to her listing presentations and say, yeah, I have this really great viral social media strategy that will get you millions of views on your listing. So let's talk a little bit more about those B-roll videos. And I'm going to give you guys some tips for recording your B-roll. So like I mentioned, B-roll is just quick, simple videos you gather from listings, your city, and of yourself. So I'm going to walk you guys through a little checklist and give you some tips and mistakes that I see when you're recording videos out and about or at a listing. So first of all, which again, I'll send you guys the link to this so you can refer back to all of this. And you can look at this with your phone later, but this is in your iPhone settings. If you select, I think the automatic setting is something up here, but I recommend doing 4K at 60 FPS. It just makes your video quality a lot better. You can turn on enhanced stabilization and lock the camera so it won't automatically switch between cameras while recording your video and make your video kind of funky. But always remember to wipe your camera lens clean before recording. I always just wipe my camera lens on my shirt or on my pants before I record. Okay. So these are the most common filming mistakes that we see. I actually just went and did a home tour with a bunch of agents, and the goal of it was to get content of people's listings. It was like a caravan of listing tours. And I saw so many agents walking around with their arm extended out, sweeping around the room really fast, taking their listing videos. So when you do that, the video comes out like one long clip. It's shaky, it's not stable, it's moving too fast. So here is a simple switch that I highly recommend. Hold your phone in two hands with your arms tight to your side. If you have a gimbal, I'm essentially making myself a human gimbal here, but if you have one of those gimbals, it will help you to stabilize your phone automatically as well. But I just use my arms tight to my sides and I hold my phone right here and I move my body instead of moving my arms. I move extremely slow when I'm recording, slower than you think you need to move, and just record quick little 5-second clips of the details of the home rather than trying to do like a wide shot of the entire room in one take. So here's an example of what that switch looks like. Hopefully, I'm having a little bit of Wi-Fi issues. Okay, so it goes in and out. And then this is what video comes out from that. It's these close, detailed shots of the home that you can do in those 1-second clips rather than having one long sweeping view that loses people's attention. So there's the example of what it looks like after. So these are some movements that you can use when you are at your listings. I know it looks kind of funny, but a couple that I do is I just hold my phone there and I look at the detail of the room that I want to record and I just shift my body from side to side, like left to right, or yeah, left to right and right to left. And then another one that you can do is kind of like stagger your legs like that and go back and forth. So you're kind of zooming into a particular feature of the home. And then the hardly moving, even just recording. And a lot of times, like if there's any sort of movement in your video, so like if it's outside and there's a tree bristling or anything like that, that movement works, and you can just record and let the movement do itself. So one thing that I recommend as you go and record at listings, and when you're out and about on the town and you're recording videos around your city to use in Reels, I highly recommend creating 3 albums in your phone so that when you go to create Reels, you don't have to search through all of your videos. You're just storing them in these albums and you build yourself up a little content library. So as you go out, as you go grab your coffee, always try to remember to grab some videos of your surroundings at the coffee shop, of your coffee, and of like the places outside when you're on a walk, grabbing those videos of the neighborhood, of your feet walking, and add them to your album. And you'll find that you're just collecting a ton of B-roll that you can use at any time. Now, here's a secret little hack as well. There's a tool called Dupe Photos, where you can find B-roll videos for free. So you can type in things like your city, your state, and it's newer, so there's not a ton of content right now, especially like local content. But what I like to do is like type in your state. So like I'm in Florida or St. Pete, so I could use any video of like waves or palm trees or anything that like captures the vibe of your area. So like if you're in a rural area, you could type in like farm, horses, things like that. So just typing in keywords of kind of what's the vibe of your area. And these are completely free. You can download them and add them to your albums to have B-roll videos to use in your reels in the future. Now, I wanted to show this example as well of this was just one Saturday that I was really intentional about recording things throughout my day that I could use in content throughout the week. So in the morning, I went for a morning walk and I got a bunch of videos just around the neighborhood and I added them to my local B-roll album. Now I can use these in B-roll throughout the week. I went and had a little charcuterie board and coffee, and took some videos of the business, of what I ordered, and took some pictures as well and added it to my local B-roll album. Then I went and toured a listing and added those to, I had 2 videos of myself, one where I just waved in the mirror and one where I'm opening the door. Added that to my personal B-roll album, and then some of the listing to add to a listing album as well. So those are just some examples of just remembering when you go out and about to record videos and build yourself a content library. So whenever you're going to edit your reel, here is some tips that I recommend. So one, like we talked about, keeping those clips under 1 second and having those detailed shots will always perform a lot better than just one long sweeping shot, because the view is going to change and we're just naturally engaged and going to stay stimulated by watching that. So keep clips under 1 second to have a fast-paced edit. Lead with your best clips to stop the scroll, your most gorgeous shots that you have of the home. Aim to keep the reel like under 10 to 15 seconds total. You don't have to show every single room. Just show the most beautiful scroll stopping and engaging rooms, and then people can get more information from you from there. So it doesn't have to be super long. Our goal is that people watch the video all the way through. So 10 to 15 seconds total is fine. And this is an example of a B-roll reel, a local reel that I created with some of those clips as well that I showed you. So I have like the album in my phone. It makes it super easy to just grab those clips and throw a text hook on top anytime that I want to post. So choose the clips that really create the vibe that you're trying to like portray in the video. So this one, for example, is the hook is, I have to go to St. Pete for an emergency. And then it says the emergency, which was a trend on Instagram, but it's just showing all my favorite things to do in St. Pete. So this is something that we call the unspoken font and color rules of Reels on Instagram. So what I've seen is that Reels that perform really well typically have a very neutral, aesthetic font rather than using a kind of crazy, hard to read font and a bunch of colors. So I recommend just having a really simple text font, centering it, and really letting the visuals grab the attention rather than doing anything with the fonts. We also find that reels created directly in Instagram or the Edits app perform better than reels that were created in something like Canva. People just like to, it looks like you created it in Instagram rather than looking like it came from another platform or was like highly produced. People really want to see like authentic content that was created directly in the app. So I recommend doing that as well. And then before you post, I recommend clicking on this more options button and making sure that you're selecting to upload at the highest quality. The default of the setting is turned off. So make sure that you turn it on so that your video is uploading at the highest quality rather than the not as high quality. And then one question that I get a lot too is when is the best time to post my reel? So I just wanted to share this as well. If you go to the insights on your Instagram, you can get there by going to professional dashboard, clicking on new followers, and then scrolling down to most active times. You can see when your audience is the most active. So for me, and also these are all in Pacific time. So even me who's in Eastern time, I have to remember that these numbers are Pacific, but you guys are in Pacific, so that's good. But this shows you when your audience is the most active. So for me, it's between 12 p.m. Pacific to 3 p.m. Pacific. So that's when I try to post. I want to post when my audience is the most active. So you can check and see what these numbers are for you. But the best time to post is just when the most people are active. Now, really quickly, I'll talk about tailoring your content to your ideal client. So like we kind of mentioned, which I'll wrap up soon here so we can get into some Q&A. But speak to the desires, not just demographics. So a lot of times when people think that they're creating content for their ideal client, I'll see things like 3 signs it's time to downsize, which even if someone is downsizing, that is super boring. If someone is like in the market for it right now, it's super boring. People are on Instagram to be entertained, inspired, and to consume content. They're sitting on the couch scrolling. They're not looking for tips on if it's a sign that they should downsize or educational real estate tips. So really create content that speaks to those downsizers' desires. So an example of this is like, you can use lifestyle contrasts that they care about. So like if someone's downsizing, it's like you can do something like POV, you move to this condo and now you never have to maintain your yard again. If people are moving, if you're focused on relocation, this is a great example of it, of I need to be 30 minutes to Nashville, but want my drive home to look like this. So it's something like comparing traffic to your lifestyle where you live, things like that. So speak to people's desires, not just their demographics. And another quick tip as well, sends. So the amount of times that someone shares your content, whether they're sending it to a friend or sharing it to their story, that is the most important factor for reaching new audiences. So whenever you're creating content, think, would local people send this to a friend or share this to their story because they think it's relatable, funny? Is it something that they would want to share? Always think about that when you're creating content. So these are some examples of coffee and contracts templates that got members really great results because they were all designed to get shares by locals. So for example, I asked ChatGPT where the office characters would live in Denver. Here's what it said. So then it's breaking down where, you know, Michael Scott and every office character would live, which neighborhood they would live in if they were in Denver. So people loved that, probably shared it with their friends, thought it was funny. The Philadelphia neighborhood ChatGPT thinks you should live based on your horoscope. These ChatGPT ones were just doing super well because people love to see what it said and see if they can find themselves in the post. So when you do something like that with your horoscope, you're just naturally curious. You're like, I wonder what it said about my horoscope, and if it's accurate. The ultimate guide to inland empire from a local. So things like guides that people share with a friend and say, oh, I didn't know that the fall festival was happening this weekend. We got to go. Things that people want to share to their friend and say, we should go to this together. And then this one is just a really funny one. Marriage is scary. What if they don't want to live in Cincinnati? So different things like that that just make people laugh. That's about your city. Locals will share it and it'll in turn reach more local people. So that's something that we're really focused on right now. I'm going to skip over these, and since we have 10 minutes left, I'm pretty much at the end, so I figured we could get into some Q&A.
Fantastic. That was awesome. Haley, it's really a lot of great information there. I did see in the chat here, looks like we did have Kalani was wondering about, audio in terms of audio. Did you have any tips on maybe for, I guess, anything with audio? I guess that's what Kalani was wondering.
Yeah. So with audio, what I recommend, I kind of skipped over that. What I recommend is when you're doing a listing feature reel, I always try to find a trending audio that really matches like the vibe of the home. So an audio is trending when you click on audio, you just select trending, and it'll show you what audios are trending on social media right now. And one thing that I like to do, a lot of times I don't find audios that I like. I think I'm very picky with the trending audios. So what I do is when you search classics, like classic artist names, things like that, their audios are always trending. So the story behind trending audio as well is if it's trending, it just means a ton of people are using it. And people have said that this is like a hack to get your reels to reach more people. That's not necessarily true. What the head of Instagram said was that if something is trending, it's likely performing well. There's something about it that people are engaging with. And that is why your reel does well, because it's another way that people stop and land on your posts. So it's not really like a growth hack by any means. But I recommend using a trending audio. I like to search for the classics a lot of times, and just find something that really like fits the vibe of your video. And another thing I'll say too is when you are doing like a talking video, one thing that I see a lot is not cutting out the pause in the beginning. I'm not sure if you guys have heard the term millennial pause is what they're calling it on TikTok, where you go to record and you're sitting there for a couple seconds before you start talking. Always cut out that initial pause and make sure you're starting right away, because we've got 3 seconds, so we got to get it in there right away.
It's so true. Yeah. What we're seeing out there in general is just, let's face it, nowadays in this world we live, right? It's just, you have a couple seconds to get their attention, and you don't have time to be messing around, really.
Exactly.
Let's see. That's great advice. Last chance, everybody, if we put it in the chat or come off mute. Haley, you have a website, right? Is it coffeecontracts.com?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a free week of content that you can check out. So you can grab some templates for free. It's just right there on the homepage. I do see there's another question if you have time.
Oh, what is her name on the social media?
It's Coffee Contracts. I'll share it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm going to share that. And for anybody, who's in attendance, if maybe later on tonight or whatever happens, all of a sudden you remember that question, go ahead and send it to us and we'll go and reach out to Haley and let her know. To ProDev is our email, PRODV, ProDev@MLSlistings.com. So if you happen to all of a sudden, I should have asked her that question, and we'll reach out. But yeah, I would encourage everybody, head up to coffeecontracts.com, follow Haley there on her Instagram. She put it there in the chat right there. There it is, that link right there. And Haley, I want to thank you again for coming on. It was a really fantastic presentation, a lot of information. I know. Great way to go into the weekend.
I hope it was helpful. And I popped the Canva presentation link so that if you guys want to refer back to anything.
Oh, fantastic.
I put that in the chat.
Fantastic. All righty. Haley, have a great weekend. Thanks for doing this. And everybody, use that information going into the weekend. Have a great weekend, and keep an eye out for, we're going to continue this series. So keep an eye out for more stuff. But thanks, Haley. Awesome job.
Thank you, guys.
Make sure to check out our pro support page for additional videos on a full range of topics. And don't forget to click that subscribe button on our MLS Listings YouTube page.